Good job. Okay, I came into this area from my neighbor who caught me as I was coming home from researching, and I was tired and hungry, and she comes running up up my driveway and says, "Hey John, I heard you're into Bigfoot." And I was like, here we go. She's gonna start making fun of me, basically. So I just told her yeah, and I was kind of ignoring her, and I'm walking up the steps, and she says, well, a friend of mine thinks she has a Bigfoot coming into her yard at night, and both of them have seen it and smelled it, and they said it was eating the bird seed. They think it's eating the bird seed. So all right, I still didn't really, believe it too much, but when she told me where it was, I was like thrown back, because this area has a history of Bigfoot sightings, and it's an area that I wanted to go into, but I just didn't have the time right now because I was researching another area, and so it caught me off guard, and I figured I'd go in there, and I did. First day I went in there, and I think I filmed a Bigfoot staring at me, watching me. Well, this is a new one. There's absolutely nothing that fell on it. That's a good, something actually broke that, I think. Now, tree breaks are something that is a strong possibility of a Bigfoot doing, I feel, because there's a lot of sighting reports of Bigfoots crashing through the trees or breaking them, and so of course it could be natural, it could be human, but I like tree breaks. They're, especially like in this case where it was thrown about 20 yards from it. Now, markers and structures, I mean, sure, something, a lot, some of them you look at obviously made, but we don't really know. I've heard people talk about like apples missing from the trees and fruit missing from the tree, and they're saying there's no way in hell that an animal could do this. And I filmed this deer in my backyard doing just this, taking the apples. Now, if you listen to this deer running away, you can hear a loud thumping noise that it makes. Finding a lot of these broken off limbs here, and they're all laid down here, which is kind of weird. Where the hell did they go? I mean, look at the size of it. Jeez. Plot watcher trail cams. I started putting those out, and I started having something in the area that's moving, and one time I filmed way off in the distance. I could see from my trail cam, I could see deer coming running down. It looks like deer. There was probably 6, 7 deer coming down on an intersection on the trail. And then all of a sudden, boom, they start running and their heads pop up, you know, and you could see the one head pop up, turns to the side, and he disappears. And then another one pops up. Now, if you look at it, one's a light color and one's a dark color. There's a print. I found tracks on this day next to the creek, and I wasn't sure if they were human or not, but I ended up following them the best I could, and they went up across the hill and across the trail, and I ended up finding a few more in the mud. Now, it rained that night, so I really couldn't get much detail out of them. I ended up going up to this top of the hillside here, and it got real bad where I just lost them. And eventually I came down into the valley, and I heard movement, and then I caught the smell. Don't want to sneak up on a bear back in here. It smells like an animal. I got down into the ravine by the creek, and I didn't see anything, but I took a shot down through there, and when I went home later, I found a possible head, a face staring at me, and I blew it up, and this is what it was. You can see the forehead, the eyes, the brow ridge, the nose, the cheeks, the hair. It looked like it was hiding behind like a rock that was covered with debris. So I climbed up out. I didn't see the thing, so I climbed up out, and I started filming down in, and I thought I saw something. I wasn't sure, and something behind me started moving, and something was thrown at me, a stick, which landed beside me. So I put the Plot Watcher trail cam out in that area, and I ended up catching something coming up over the hill behind a fallen tree. And this is a shot of me coming up over the hill. You could just see my face. What this thing was or is, I don't know. Now, there was 3 different occasions towards the evening before the tape ran out that you could see these lights. It happened 3 times, different occasions. I have only found like one really good footprint out there that I could say is an actual footprint. Now, I have the one here that I found in the snow, and I ended up showing it to a lady that I didn't know, but she was interested in it. She was actually shopping, and I was showing it to a friend of mine, and she looked at it, and she's like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "What's it look like?" And she's like, "A footprint." I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Is that a Bigfoot print?" I says, "I think it is." And I'm watching her reaction, and her chin started quivering, and she started crying. And she says, "I can't believe, nobody would believe me what I saw." You know, and it was next to my area, which was nice.
Think you can see it good?
Yeah, we're guessing about 13 inches. It's hard to tell exactly.
Do you want to move these leaves and see if there's anything under it?
Well, get the width on it.
Okay.
You could see where
Like 6
the leaves are
back
pushed
here.
out. That looks like the toe area up here.
Right.
So what do we got? About 6
6.
inches. That's pretty good. It's what's weird about it.
I don't know if you could see it or not because it goes like this. It goes here.
Yeah.
Here. Of course, it could slide whatever it
sure.
was when it was walking, but see what's under here.
But you can see the leaves pushed. Go ahead, you can move them away if you like.
Oh, that's it. I don't think anything was under there.
Just push the leaves
Right.
to the side.
Yeah, on this day, what happened was I just went to my trail cam real quick as soon as I got there to my area, my research area, and I didn't even film anything. I just walked in there to get my trail cam, and I had to cross this fallen tree, and it was raining bad. It's been raining for days. The creek was high and muddy, and so I got across there, changed my card, put another card in, and when I was coming across the fallen tree across the creek, I ended up having to jump to the other side, and when I jumped, I had my camera, my good camera, HD camera, strapped onto my belt. I ended up falling off. I didn't even know. I hit the side, and I'm looking around. I just happened to turn around, and I'm like, there's my camera going down the creek, sinking. It was in its case, so I hurried up, ran in the water just a little bit, grabbed it real quick, and freaked out, and I opened it up, and it was half filled with water. Now my lens is pointed down, so everything, my lens, everything was, you know, just filled. So that kind of ruined my day, and I ended up going underneath a, like a cliff, cave-like thing, and pouring down rain. I got in there, was shaking the camera off and grabbing what dry spot I had on me, and anyways, I ended up staying under there for a couple hours. I think it was a little over 2 hours, and it was getting late, and I'm like, man, the rain isn't going to stop. So I actually had a poncho on. I was all camoed, and I'll show you what I was wearing. The poncho, it's hard plastic, and anyways, so I started walking out of there. Wasn't even going to use my camera. So when I walked out, I'm looking down through the valley. I'm on one side of the hill. I'm looking down through the valley, and on the other side, I don't know, I didn't see anything at the time. I just stopped, and I'm looking around, so I'm looking up behind me. And then when I turned around again, I could notice something black back in the woods there. And it's a pretty steep hill, but, you know, you could walk through there. Didn't really think much of it at the time, and I'd turn around and look behind me, and now you got to remember I had this poncho on, and it's hard plastic, cheap thing from Walmart, and the rain's hitting it, it's real loud, and I would turn around and look again, and that black spot would be gone. So, you know, I knew it was something then. So what I do is I make a line in the woods. I make like I rub my foot and make a line so I can line it up perfect with where it is. So when I turn around, I come back, I can line myself up. And every time I turned around, I would either see it somewhere else, or I wouldn't see it at all. And I never did see it move, but it moved. Obviously, it was gone. So, and I could just see a little bit through the foliage, you know, and here and there. So the one time, this happened, you know, maybe, I don't know how long it took, maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then I turned around again, and I noticed behind this rock, there was something there that wasn't there before. And it looked like it was moving, it looked like it was coming up at this time, like rising straight up. And I wasn't sure, it was dark. And so I stared at it and stared at it and stared at it. I'm like, man, it looks like it was moving, you know, like a head movement. I could see what appeared to be head and shoulders. I looked at it for probably 20 minutes, stared at it, and it looked like it was staring at me, couldn't tell. And then I just figured, I started getting really creeped out. I figured, I'm grabbing my camera. I didn't know if it was going to work or not. And I just hurry up, put it on real quick. And what I did was I had to put my hat out like this because it was raining so hard and I could barely see. And I'm looking through the viewfinder. And I'm trying to get it in focus, and I zoomed right in. And I only filmed, I believe, a little over 14 seconds, I think. And I stuck it back in my, you know, and I didn't even know if I had anything at all. But I can say that I honestly got real freaked out. And I basically hightailed it out of there. I don't know why I got so freaked out, and I don't even remember most of the walk until this one section where it got real dark. I'm like actually spinning around. I was so freaked out, and I'm looking and looking and looking. I just felt, you know, something was following me. But I don't think it was. I just remember that part of it, and back in getting into my truck and sitting there and just sitting there spacing out like, wow. Now I went into this area again, and I ended up seeing what appeared to be him sitting in here. Now, a lot of people don't understand this footage. This hill straight up and down, it's this big steep cliff. And I'm down at the bottom, and there's a big creek in front of me. And I'm looking at him about a good 45-degree angle. And I'm guessing he's 150 yards from me. And he was sitting in an old hole that was dug out on the hillside from, I believe it was a tree that fell at one time, and it, you know, made a big hole. And you can only see, of course, being at that angle, you can only see a little bit of him, you know, the upper half of him. But he was sitting down in this hole. And I was there, and I filmed what I could film, and I made a big mistake by not knowing the camera, and I had it on digital zoom, I believe that's what it's called. And I could only see when the sun went behind the clouds. Then I could see again. I could see the hillside. But when the sun was out shining, I had nothing but glare, and I kept trying to film, and I couldn't get it in, and I couldn't hold it straight. I ended up grabbing a stick, you know, and cracking it and holding it like this, trying to keep it straight. But what you see is a couple stills from it that I tried to clear up to get at least some kind of, you know, quality out of it. And you can see a little bit of the head movement. And every once in a while I could see him move, and it wasn't much movement, but I could see, it looked like he was adjusting himself every once in a while like we do when we sit down. And but it's just horrible footage, but this is some stills from it. So I put the Plot Watcher trail cam out again in the area where I saw this thing, and I ended up catching, I don't know what it is, some being, creature, animal, moving. We just don't know what it is. lot of footage you get on these trail cams is just useless footage. Usually storms or the sun glare shining at the lens. And I have some shots of one being upright walking towards the camera way off in the distance, and ended up veering off the trail, and it ended up being two individuals walking, but the footage was so bad that I never showed it. On this day, it started out early in the morning. I worked all night. Figured I'd wait till daylight, and I got out of my truck, started walking this old back road into my area. And there's a steep cliff, and like on this side, and then you've got the road, which I'm on. And as I'm coming up over the top of the road, it levels out for maybe 50, 60 yards. Then it goes down over a steep hill. But as soon as I come up over the top, I see this black figure. I thought, it could still be a bear. I thought it was a bear until I noticed how big and long it was. It was really long, and it was crawling. And as it went into the other side of the hill, I grabbed my camera. I forgot all about it. I'm like, whoa, I grabbed my camera, and I pointed down there, and I tried zooming in real quick, and I got that effect where it's trying to focus in, and I just caught a little bit of it before it went in, and I ended up shutting my camera off and taking a run down, and when I went down there, I'm looking, there's nothing there. I don't know where he went, so I'm like, I stood there, I don't know how long, but a good 5-10 minutes, and looking for him, looking. So I ended up going down the road and cut off. I figured if he's up in here somewhere, I'm going to go down here towards the creek. And it took me a good while to get there, and I ended up getting to this spot, and I came out on this big rock, and I'm filming down the creek. There's nothing going on. I'm just like, whatever. Didn't see anything. And of course, the old classic, you go home and you look at your footage, and I see what appears to be the black figure with the cone-shaped head. You can see the face. If this is something, I really don't know. I went back later and took another shot of it just to show, if it's there or not. But this is some of the footage here. When I get pictures of wildlife on my trail cams, to me, what I look for is if something's chasing it, or the reaction of the animal, or if anything's in the background. You just keep waiting for that moment where a Bigfoot's going to come out and grab this turkey and destroy it. My wife and I went to pick up my trail cams. I put new batteries in it, SD cards, and when I got there, I opened them up and the screens were blinking, the one wasn't even working, the other one was fuzzy, and this is what it should look like, and this is what I ended up having. Now these are placed in the same area. I don't know if these got damp or an animal pissed on it or what, but this was on the images that were on the trail cam.
Wow.
You know, I do this research because I love doing it. I always loved being in the woods, and this is just like an added bonus, going out and looking for something, and when you find something like footprints, you know, or structures, it's just a good, you know, a good feeling. It's, you know, I'm not doing this for money or fame. I just love doing it, and I will do it until I can't do it anymore.